it's Camilla from the Sewing Society, and welcome to part 5 of the Merry Makers Christmas series. In this video, I'm going to be making some variations on a scrunchie. So similar kind of vibes, but a little bit different. They're super cute for gifts. I've made them a little bit Christmassy, but you can make them for every day. So these are the cuties we're gonna make today. There's a flower, I've got one in my hair. This is really cute, it's a square. And I added some little bells to make it Christmassy, but you don't need to do that. And then this is really cute. I think this one might be my favorite. The little scallops and the bow. Okay, let's get started. First up, I'm gonna be making a bun wrap. This sounds more like a sandwich. For this project, you only need a small amount of fabric. I'm gonna put the measurements up on the screen so that you can take them down. The main piece is 17 by 45 centimeters or 7 by 18 inches. And the tie is 7.5 by 80 centimeters or 3 by 31.5 inches. We're going to start by folding the main piece in half lengthways and then sewing down the two short ends, leaving a 1 centimeter gap at the folded edge. That's going to be where we're going to thread our tie through. Now we're going to turn it right side out, keeping the seam allowance facing in where the little gap is. Then give it a good press, and next we're going to top stitch 1 centimeter away from the folded edge to make our channel. It should look a little something like this. Next we're going to add the decorative stitch. I'm using a scallop stitch because it's my favorite, but your machine might have heaps of different stitches to choose from, so just go with whatever you fancy. If you just like a plain edge, turn in the seam allowance by 1 centimeter and top stitch it closed. Then I'm going to trim away the excess fabric, going really slowly so I don't cut into the threads. Next, we're going to make the tie piece. To make the tie, we're going to fold that piece in half lengthways, right sides together, and pin all the way down. Now at each end, I decided to do a little angle, but you can keep it straight if you'd like. If you want to make an angle, I just kind of eyeballed it. I did what I thought looked nice. Leave a little gap in the stitching about halfway down so that we can turn our strap through to the right side. Trim away some of the excess fabric in the corners so that it makes a nice point when we turn it the right way out. I used a chopstick to help me turn my tie through to the right side, and then I also used my loop turner to help me get the points at the end a bit sharper. Give it all a really good press and then take it to the machine and sew close the little gap. Now all we have to do is thread the tie through the channel that we made in the main piece. I'm just going to use a safety pin to help me thread it through. And then push the main piece so that it's approximately in the middle of the tie, and then make it all nice and bunched up and tie a bow. Next up is a square scrunchie. This works best with really lightweight fabrics, something that's got a nice drape to it. To make this scrunchie, you'll need 2 pieces of fabric cut to 30 by 30 centimeters or 12 by 12 inches. Pin them together right sides facing, and we're going to cut a 10 by 10 centimeter diameter circle from the center of the 2 pieces. If you've got something that's this size that you can trace around, that makes it really easy. My pin dish was a little bit bigger, but it was okay to use for this project. Maybe you've got a roll of tape or a jar or something that you can trace around. It's a little bit hard to see my pencil mark, but now we're going to sew the 2 pieces of fabric together following the circle line. Once we've sewn the circle, we can take the pins out, and now we're going to cut out the center of the circle. I'm going to use pinking shears because that will help the circle have a nice rounded finish. But if you don't have pinking shears, just cut away quite close to the stitching and then do some little snips into the seam allowance. Okay, now we're going to turn our scrunchie square right side out, and the next part is probably the trickiest part, and I'll try and explain it the best I can, and hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing clearly in the video. It's sort of like the burrito method, if you're familiar with that. Take one of the square edges and bring it up to the opposite side. Then take the matching edge underneath and around, and it kind of encases the rest of the square. Then from here we're going to start pinning around, starting with the 2 pieces that we folded around to meet each other. It will feel weird and not right, but trust me, it will work. On this first edge, we're going to leave a gap in the stitching so that we can turn the whole thing right side out once we've finished sewing around the 4 edges. I'm only able to pin 2 of the 4 sides before I take the scrunchie to the machine. And then as we go around, I'll pull the fabric through. I'm just sewing up until the gap, and then I'll start sewing again a little bit further down. When you get to the corner, leave the needle in the fabric and pivot around, and then you can continue sewing. When you get to the end of the second side, you can start to sort of pull through the rest of the scrunchie so that you're able to access the next side. And keep doing that till you get back to the beginning. Okay, so it should look a little bit like this, and now we just need to find where we left the opening and turn everything right side out. Now we need to push out the 4 corners so that they're nice and pointy, and thread through some elastic. I've got some finer elastic for this scrunchie because it's such lightweight fabric. It doesn't need a heavy duty elastic. I'm just going to thread it through using a safety pin and then tie it closed using a sailor's knot. Then to finish off our scrunchie, we just need to close the little gap that we left. I'm going to hand sew mine, but you can use the sewing machine if you like. Now you can leave your scrunchie as it is. It's totally finished and complete. But I thought it would be fun to add some little beads or charms to the 4 corners. I had a little rummage through my charm box and I found some really sweet little bells, and I thought how perfect that would be for Christmas. So I just hand sewed them on and they look really cute. Next is the flower scrunchie. There are a couple of different ways that you can make this, and I think that I've shown you the most straightforward, but as we know, there's always more than one way to sew something. This scrunchie comes with a free pattern which you can download. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. Start by cutting out 2 of the pattern pieces on the fold. Now fold each piece in half, right sides together, and sew the short ends together. Turn one of the pieces inside out, then join the 2 pieces together at the seams, right sides facing. Pin the scallops in place, and then we're going to sew the 2 pieces together. Go nice and slowly around the curves. I ended up taking the arm off my machine to make it a little bit easier. Something funny happened with the recording for this next part when I was making the white version, so I'm going to show you using the gold spotty version. To make the scallops nice and round, we need to snip into the corners and also the rounds. I'm going to use the pinking shears, but if you don't have any, just trim away the fabric quite close to the stitching and then snip into the seam allowance. Now we need to turn it right side out and then press all of the scallops so they're all beautiful. To finish off the bottom edge, I'm going to press up the seam allowance on both of the pieces, and then we'll pin it together, leaving a small opening so that we can thread through some elastic. I'm going to top stitch all the way around, leaving a gap so that we can put our elastic inside our scrunchie. And to finish off, all we need to do is sew close the little opening. I made the gold version a little bit differently. I sewed the two pieces together, leaving the two short ends open. Then once I turned it right side out, I hand stitched the ends together, leaving a small opening to thread through the elastic. But before threading the elastic, I sewed a 1 centimeter channel, and this makes a more defined elastic look. So you can try this version as well if you like. As you can see, the white one is a little bit more puffy because the elastic isn't kept in place with a channel. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial on a slightly different way to make a scrunchie or a hair accessory. Please like and subscribe. There'll be some more Christmas makes coming up in the following weeks. Let me know what you think in the comments below, if you might try making one of these for gifts or for yourself. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.